Hey guys, what's up? So I'm here with another Flick of the Week. This is the 4th episode of Flick of the Week. And it's going pretty strong. I haven't got a ton of feedback on it. Actually, I haven't gotten any feedback on it. But it's gotten a few views here and there, so I figured I'd just keep making it as a kind of substitute for the regular reviews. So this Flick of the Week, I actually had to choose between 5 movies. That's 5 movies including the one I'm choosing for the Flick of the Week. The 4 finalists, or the 4 runner-ups for this week's Flick of the Week are, and I'm just gonna kind of talk about them and give kind of a brief summary, I decided to choose between the 4 movies I didn't choose. I guess I'll start off with the 2 films that are not horror films that I didn't choose. The 2 animated, like, kind of drama comedy films that I decided not to choose were, I believe it's Ralph Bakshi. I forget how it was the last. I don't remember his last name. I know I've got my copy of Fritz the Cat, like right here. Ralph Bakshi. His 2 of his films that I've watched within the past week or so, which were Heavy Traffic, and Heavy Traffic is basically a film about, much like most of his films, which are animated. It's an animated film which is about this young, like, kind of underground cartoonist who uses his family and friends as inspiration for his artwork, but he wants to, like, go out on his own and become an artist, you know, and sell his underground artwork. But the problem is that nobody wants to buy it, and he falls in love with this girl, and, you know, things just kind of happen to him, which so on and so forth inspire his artwork. So, it's a really interesting film, very, very, very entertaining, and very well animated. You know, I mean, considering this is coming from the guy who made Fritz the Cat, we cannot, you know, I honestly didn't expect anything less than at least entertaining, so we got that. Now, the other film is another film from him. It's probably his most controversial film, and it is the film that is often considered to be his masterpiece. It is Coonskin, also known as Street Fight, amongst many other titles. Coonskin is very, very controversial. I mean, even to this day it's considered controversial because of its kind of portrayal of racist stereotypes. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but the film is about a trickster rabbit who moves into the inner city and becomes the head of organized crime there, and he faces, you know, discrimination from both the racist police and the racist mafia. And it's partially, like, animated, partially live action, and honestly it's a very, very cool, interesting, you know, entertaining film, and it's supposed to be a parody of Song of the South, the very, very, very racist Disney movie, which I have actually found a copy of, and I've seen it before, and I mean, and I can definitely see all the connections to it, but people often claim that this film is racist because all of the, you know, like, characters that are of a different race or nationality are displayed in the way that their stereotypes are, in the way that they are stereotyped. And people often say, oh, well, this film is racist, and but the point of the film, you know, portraying racist stereotypes is to show how ridiculous they are, and to show how, you know, ridiculous it is that people believe these, that people actually, you know, that there are firmly held beliefs that these things are true when these things are absolutely just fucking ridiculous. And that's what the film's point was. Even the NAACP the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, even they, when the film came out, said that they support the film and that they get the fact that they get the satire, the satirical elements of the film. So yeah, it's also a very good film. I honestly don't like it as much as Fritz the Cat, but it's still really, really awesome. The third film I was going to choose was Robert Rodriguez's The Faculty. And The Faculty is really underrated, like, kind of combination of The Breakfast Club and, a combination of, like, The Breakfast Club and Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And it's basically about this kind of group of misfits, well, not misfits in high school, you know, there's the jock, there's the goth girl, there's the new kid, there's the nerd, there's the pretty girl, you know, and then there's the, like, kind of, like, smart burnout kid. And they all kind of come together, and they realize that their school has been overrun with aliens, and it's kind of like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, except with a lot more, like, body horror elements. But it's still a really awesome movie, and it's definitely one of the horror films from the 90s that I definitely think doesn't get enough credit, you know, for what it is. And I mean, it's from the director from Dusk Till Dawn. It's written by the guy who wrote the screenplay for Scream. It's just an awesome, fun movie, and it's one that I think is underrated. The other movie is Stuart Gordon's Dagon. Now, Stuart Gordon, he's written and directed a lot of horror movies, and he's well known amongst the genre. He directed, you know, the first Re-Animator movie. He directed From Beyond, which is really, you know, those are both really good Lovecraft adaptations. And he directed, I know he directed one other film, I can't think of it, Dolls, which is a really fun, cheesy, like, horror flick. And he directed this movie in, like, he made this movie in, like, the early 2000s. And it's one of the first Lovecraftian horror films that's a very true to the source material, Lovecraft horror films. It's about this guy that ends up shipwrecked on an island, and shipwrecked in this, like, small kind of fishing town. And in this small town, they're all, like, half human, half fish descendants of this ancient old god known as Dagon. And this is one of the first Lovecraftian horror films to actually focus on, to actually mention Cthulhu as a, like, it's one of the first films to actually mention Cthulhu, except for Mansion of Cthulhu, which really had nothing to do with Lovecraft's work, but it's one of the first films to mention Cthulhu as a character and as a part of the universe. So it's a really, really cool movie. It's got great effects. Some of the CG and visual effects are a bit shoddy, but I can forgive that considering the time the film was made and the budget of the film. But the practical effects are all really good. The film has a nice camera work, lighting, atmosphere, all that. Now we can get on to the actual flick of the week. The actual flick of the week is a Spanish horror film from 2007 called Timecrimes. It is a science fiction kind of horror film, and it's one of those films that is a bit of a mindfuck to, like, explain in words, especially if you're going to get into the really deep aspects of the film. Like, if you were to watch it, it's, like, kind of easy to understand, but if you were to actually, like, try to explain everything that happens in the movie, it's kind of hard to explain. The film is basically about this guy who ends up going back in time 1 hour, and, you know, stuff happens. And basically, in that 1 hour that he went back in time, you know, within that hour, like before he went back in time, he was attacked by a crazed unknown man. He saw a naked girl in the woods for some reason. You know, all this crazy shit happened to him, and then he goes back in time an hour, and you slowly find out what's going on. Now, I will admit there are a few twists to this movie, and the few twists, the first twist that they give you is really, really fucking obvious by the posters and by the cover art for the DVD and all of that. It is very obvious what the first twist is. The second, third, and like fourth or fifth twists in the film, those are actually very well done, and I honestly didn't see a few of them coming. So I'll give them that. But it's a really good film. I'd honestly say it's on par with something like Donnie Darko, in the sense that it's a bit of a mindfuck. I mean, I'm not going to say it requires multiple viewings to fully get, because I got it the first time around. But it's a really well-made movie, very well acted, very well shot, very well written. You know, everything is awesome. There are a few comedic moments thrown in, I'm sure, that were completely on purpose, that honestly made me laugh quite a bit. The effects in the movie are really well done. And I will be honest, don't watch the trailer for this movie if you're interested in seeing it, because the trailer kind of spoils the movie, as well as it makes the movie look like complete shit. Like, it really... Like, they really could have done a way better job for the trailer for this movie. Which is why, for the footage that I'm showing right now, I edited down the trailer and took out all the shitty parts and all the spoilerish parts. But the movie is absolutely fucking top-notch. I wouldn't say it's a perfect movie, and I definitely wouldn't say it's like... It's a modern classic. But I would definitely say it's a really, really good flick, and definitely one of the hidden gems of not just the horror genre, but the science fiction genre as well, from the last few years. And, I mean, I don't have many complaints about it. It definitely could have been a bit more, like, surreal and kind of mindfuck-ish, and there could have been a few things here and there that could have been done a bit better. And I will admit that the title is a bit stupid. I mean, I do like the title, I do, but it would have been better if it would have been about, like, time-traveling criminals or something like that. But because the film is like a time travel kind of like psychological horror thriller slasher film, it's kind of hard to really, you know, it's one of those films that's... they could have definitely come up with something better. It's like my opinion on I haven't watched this movie yet, but on the title for the horror film from this year, Unfriended. It, like, the movie, I've heard the movie is kind of okay. You know, I've heard it's kind of shitty, I've heard it's good, I've heard it's bad, you know, I've heard everything. But one of my biggest complaints is the fucking title for Unfriended. The title is Unfriended. I'm sure they made the title like that on purpose just so people would see it. Like, oh, it's a horror film called Unfriended. It sounds stupid. Let's go see it. But, like, one of the alternate titles for one of the foreign releases was Cybernatural. And honestly, that was a better fucking title. They could have put more thought into it and come up with something more clever, but they didn't. They just went with something that would get people to see it. And that's what I think they did here. They went with something that rhymes. Timecrimes. And although I like the title and it would work for a different film, it just doesn't work here that well at all. But all in all, I would still highly recommend you check it out. It's definitely worth watching at least once. Again, it's not a perfect film, and and even though I gave it a 9 out of 10 on IMDb, again, I rate films based on not just how well they're made, you know, that is a factor, but for how entertaining and interesting they are. You know, that's why I gave stuff like Massacre Mafia Style a high rating, and I gave fucking Black Past and like all these really bad low-budget movies I give high ratings because I was entertained by them, not because they're well made. So I gave it a 9 out of 10 because I was genuinely interested, and, you know, I was engaged the entire time. I never got bored. It's just a movie I would recommend, and yeah, that's really it. Peace.